I've often said, and I've been right and I've meant it in the way I've said it, the biggest topic on this show often has been, and probably always will be, the show itself. I didn't set out to make it like that. I don't do it to be lazy. It just is a fact. Or as my friend says, big fact, big fact. With that in mind, I would like to say this. Big fact, poor Gavin. Gavin. Poor Gavin. If you missed the end of yesterday's program, then you missed a phone call that instantly went into jungle folklore and probably will be reset in some varying degree of frequency until, I don't know, until they put me in the ground. I know these iconic moments when they happen. That was one of them. Gavin's call yesterday does not need to sit on the shelf for 5 years and wait for some panel of writers and never-weres and historians to put it in its rightful place. Is it a first ballot? Is it a second ballot? Like, we all know an all-time jungle moment right when it happens. If you don't know Gavin in Illinois, Gavin is a 16-year-old kid who first called this show back in February. And he got run for a terrible take when he said that Frank Vogel sucks as a head coach. Now, normally bad callers with equally bad takes disappear forever the moment they get hit with the manual buzzer and LT starts to sing over their dead carcasses. But the thing about youngsters, and I've seen this, all right? I know this. As I've gotten older and I've had kids of my own, man, they're durable. They're pliable. They're resilient. They bounce back. So then that brings me back to Gavin. Gavin has the voice, the youthful cheer of a 16-year-old kid. And you got a bunch of the old heads around here cracking on him for sounding like a little kid going through puberty live on the air. And he was effectively told by a gawking JTP, the Jungle Twitter posse, to come back once his marbles drop. So let's just say that went really badly for old Gav. Bad call, and then he got dragged by the JTP. So what does the kid do? He comes back almost immediately, and he starts cracking on all the boomers.
Hey, Jim, so I got a message to the boomer army of clones out there that tried to light me up after my call yesterday for not having a deep enough voice. Well, let me tell you something, clones. I'm new. I'm fresh. I'm only 16 years old. Yep, some of you called it. So next time you think about cracking me up, just take a deep breath, push that big rectangle box into your VCR, sit down in your dirty recliner, and watch your MASH rerun.
All right, now, is that the best smack I've ever heard? No. Hell no. Not even close. But the thing is, it didn't need to be. Just the idea of a 16-year-old bouncing right back and calling everybody a bunch of boomers and telling them to jam their rectangle into their VHS and watch their MASH reruns in their dirty recliners was more than enough. I mean, not exactly incendiary. Nobody died with that crackback, but truthfully, it's not so much what he said or how he said it, but rather that he said it at all. And I'm not going to lie. This notion of the show having a pissed off caller younger than my own sons waging generational war is actually pretty hilarious to me. It's different. It's fresh. It's funny. And I was not the only one who liked it. In fact, I was not the only one who really liked it because a bunch of the boomers that he went in on tweeted their approval and told him to keep calling, and he did. So one call later, he turns his attention to the oldest member in the jungle, Rit. And the two of them produced one of the funnier moments on air in recent memory when Rit played a drop of Rit during Gavin's call and totally threw the kid off.
Take old man Rit, for instance. He doesn't have the capability to drive, but yet he still has a license somehow. Chugging down the road, 15 under the speed limit in his Oldsmobile. Speaking of old man Rit, I was calling to accept your invitation to the Gavin v. Rit Showdown.
Game on.
What's that?
All right, so again, a few things to unpack. There's that little sound at the front. And you know what the funny thing about that sound is? Every time I hear that sound, I make that sound again. It's me stifling laughter. And also notice from call to call how much deeper Gavin's voice has gotten. Not really, but kind of. But how much more confident he is. Like he's just selling it. Now he's just spitting game. But when you hear that thing start to finish, you have to appreciate how egregious the entire thing is, really. A 16-year-old caller going in on a 61-year-old staffer, and that staffer, who is in love with himself and has no filter whatsoever, plays by his own rules, drops a soundbite of himself over the call. Something like that has never happened before. But then again, Rit always does bleep that has never happened before. That's what makes Rit Rit. But no, we don't do that, Rit. We've never done that. We don't interrupt anybody's call except to run that call when they suck or they cross the line. But notice you never really hear me interjecting or interrupting somebody's flow, just as you never hear Alvin messing somebody up on purpose by playing audio over their calls, much less playing audio of himself over the call. We respect the caller until they give us a reason not to respect the caller, and then the caller gets run. But I can promise you this. If you're not getting run, you're not going to hear from any of us during your call, unless Garrett Ritt is on the board and can't freaking help himself because he's Garrett Ritt. Then this Hall of Fame, industry-leading legacy program that has been around for 30 years and that Ritt rolled into back in 2019 is going to take the rule book for that show and the standards for that show and feed them all right into a paper shredder.
Finally.
It's like Rit. Like Rit came in here, opened up the drawer in the bedstand next to the bed, pulled out the Jungle Bible and said, yeah, none of that applies to me. You know who the hell I am? I'm Rit. Remember this, Rit? Rit's like, I'm Rit. I'm never wrong. You're wrong for even thinking I'm wrong.
Take old man Rit, for instance. He doesn't have the capability to drive, but yet he still has a license somehow. Chugging down the road, 15 under the speed limit in his Oldsmobile. Speaking of old man Rit, I was calling to accept your invitation to the Gavin v. Rit showdown.
Game on.
AKA, what's that?
What's that? That's Rit playing a soundbite of himself, kid. Anyway, I haven't even gotten to what happened yesterday. That was last week. Gavin would end up finishing his call, pulled himself together, got himself racked, and got himself onto the Smack Off watch list, which means he is one more great phone call away from joining the likes of Ariel Helwani, Chris in Southeastern Wisco, and Paul's dog from ripping a golden ticket. Understand this before I play his attempt at a ticket yesterday. The JTP itself, fickle as hell. They're fine with you getting a little run and having a little fun, but not too much, because if you do, they will turn, and when they turn hard, and they turn fast. So at this point yesterday, you had a lot of boomers rooting hard against the kid. They're mad he's on the watch list. They're mad he's getting more confident. They're mad that he's about to reach puberty. They're mad that his calls are getting reset and their tweets are not getting read. They're sick of all the shine somebody other than they themselves are getting. They're alleging ageism. They're suggesting the kid is getting preferential treatment because he's a kid. So believe me, each and every one of them lined their boomer asses up waiting for this kid to light himself on fire. So, did he give Boomer Nation exactly what it wanted? Let's find out. Let's finally listen to yesterday's call at the end of the program when Gavin, full of himself, chest pumped out, marbles about to drop, called back to crack Rit for disrupting his flow during his previous call, and additionally to take a run at one Manny in Oxnard. Roll it.
Playing sound bites in my call was absolutely genius. I wouldn't have expected anyone to do that, let alone you, Rit. Bold move, old man. But that doesn't change the fact you still suck at your job. Maybe that laser beam of light reflecting off your big bald head is blinding you of the fact that the show is so much better when you're not on the controls. Anyway, Rome, I need to talk about something I saw on Twitter the other day. One of those boomers charging at me is good old Manny and Oxnard. I advise staying in your cave on... Sorry, Rome, messing up there because I'm a stupid 16-year-old.
No.
Well, I said it yesterday, and I'm going to have to say it once again. That could not have gone much worse for you, Gav. And it could not have gone much better for them, Gav. What I'm saying is, given the context of you being a bleep-talking 16-year-old and having, frankly, at best, very, very average smack, and given how much some of us, including yours truly, wanted you to do well, and I did. I really did. And so did others. Given all that, it could not have gone any worse. Could not have gone any worse for you, nor any better for them. I mean, there's flaming out, and then there is this.
I advise staying in your cave on... Sorry, Rome.
Sorry, Rome, what? What are you, a stupid 16-year-old? I mean, yes, he said so. And if Alvin were here, you would hear it. But the old man is here, and he's already struggling. I mean, there's flaming out, then there's that. Is that Gavin in Illinois, or is that Reggie in the OC?
But I had to get in on this, man. It's first off, Rome, honestly,
That is so great. I mean, that sounds like somebody doing an act. That sounds like somebody doing a bit. That sounds like somebody who's just over the top pretending to be somebody who's not a good caller, when in reality, that was a guy who tried to be a good caller. Okay, Rome. Hey, Rome. Anyway, what I want to say, Rome, is,
honestly,
anyway, anyway, what I was trying to say, I mean, listen to that guy. Like, he was trying. That was not somebody pretending to be a bad caller. That was somebody actually being one of the worst callers ever.
It's first off, Rome, honestly,
Honestly, what, Reggie? Hey, Reggie, honestly, what? Normally things like that are painful, but not that. That was just awesome. I wish I had not run him. Had I not run him, he'd still be saying, Rome.
First off, Rome.
The non-fluencies are absolutely amazing. The ratio of ums to throat clears is something to behold. Anyway, I digress.
Honestly,
What I'm trying to say is, there's nothing worse than advising somebody to stay in their cave when you probably could have used that advice more than anybody ever.
I advise staying in your cave on... Sorry, Rome.
Cave. I mean, that was really a very, very depressing, self-fulfilling prophecy, wasn't it?
I advise staying in your cave on... Sorry, Rome.
Maybe I'm getting soft. But the end of the flameout, actually, to me, was kind of more sad than it was funny. Listen again as Gavin smashes the plane into the side of the mountain and then says, for the world to hear, quote, "I'm messing up there because I'm a stupid 16-year-old.
I advise staying in your cave on... Sorry, Rome. Messing up there because I'm a stupid 16-year-old.
I mean, back in the day, I would have said, yeah, stupid 16-year-old. Tell me something I don't already know. But today, I'm like, man, that's sad. I feel badly for the kid. Here's the thing, though, Gav. And there's going to be some tough love somewhere along the way. I would do it to my own kid, so I have to do it to you, son. You're on a plane. Let me give you an analogy that maybe you can relate to. You've been on a plane before, right, Gav? So you're on a plane, and that plane is plummeting to the earth, and it's scary as hell. And frankly, and you're young, and I probably shouldn't have this conversation with you because you have your whole life ahead of you, but all of us will leave this planet at some point. None of us really have a say how it is we're going to go. You, son, are on an airplane. That airplane is plummeting, and it's headed right to the earth. And that's like your phone call. You're on this plane. You're going straight down. You really only have one option at that point. You put your head between your knees, you say your final prayers, you wait a few more seconds for the ultimate evisceration. And then you get ready to meet your maker. And you explain to him why you spent all your time calling a famous sports talk radio program. That's it. That's all you can do. What you don't want to do is blurt out something that we all already know.
I advise staying in your cave on. Sorry, Rome, messing up there because I'm a stupid 16-year-old.
Now, as you know, I never root. Not for any team, not for any player, not for anything at all, other than something to talk about. And I'll admit it. I don't want to be a hypocrite, and I do not want to be disingenuous. There are certain things that I do root for. I do. You know, I root for my kid. I root for my kid's team. I root for our horses. And frankly, I root for a 16-year-old kid calling this show. I do. I wanted that for Gavin almost as much as Gavin wanted that for Gavin. So that hurt. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that hurt me more than it hurt him because that would be a lie. In fact, it didn't hurt me that much at all. But I know it hurt that kid. But when it happened, my initial thought was, son, stay down. Let him stomp on your head a few more times, and then you play dead. Play dead and stay down, and then they will go away. Because, my man, you do not want to get up, and you do not want to live, and you do not want to fight another day. But then I thought about it for a minute. I thought about it after the program, and then I remembered folks have come back from great jungle adversity. In fact, they've come back from even worse than that. As an example, Fabian. Take Fabian for an example.
Doggy dog. I swear, Rome, it's the most... Oh, man. Okay.
Does that sound old school? Because that is old school. That happened years and years and years ago. Fabian bounced back from that. Fabian is the OG of jungle flameouts. He still calls all the time. Not only did he live to fight another day or live to flame another day, he has flamed over and over and over again. And now he's an icon. Kyle in Green Bay. Kyle in Green Bay had one of the most omnipotent flameouts ever. He tried to refer to me as Jim and ended up glossing me as, quote, Drew, the Jumpman Gillett.
Kyle, good to have you on. How are you?
Hey, I'm great. Drew, Jill. Oh, man, I'm nervous. How's it going?
Really? Really? Were you nervous, dude? I couldn't tell. That dude right there. That dude right there who tried to utter the word Jim and barfed out Drew the Jumpman Gillett. That dude has turned out to be one of the better callers to the program. And not only that, goes right to the front of the line whenever he checks in. I never thought that I would say it, but be like Fabian. Be like Kyle. Bounce back. Don't be like Matt in Cleveland, who never again showed his face around here after doing this.
First of all, being a star linebacker in Canada, that just means you're a failed hockey player. Christy Alley, Val Kilmer, global warming.
Don't be like that guy. Don't be like Matt in Cleveland. Don't be like Dr. Dave, who will always and forever be a punchline around here.
Sorry for the late response, Vic, but unlike you, my position in this world has something of substantial community value. while you spend your time perfecting the perfect selfie, I spend my day recovering, saving dying children. Oh, sorry, Jim. I'm done.
He spends his day recovering dying children. Listen, I also made the point that in life, in sports, in MMA, in the jungle, and most of all in life, everybody gets their ass kicked. Everybody. Nobody leaves this planet undefeated except sex. It is the only thing that is undefeated. The undefeated, untied, heavyweight champion in the history of the world. Sex. Everybody else gets their ass beat. Same thing on this show. Brad in Corona, best caller ever, has gotten run. Rick in Buffalo, who you heard earlier today, he will be in the Jungle Hall of Fame one day. In fact, before he retires, I'm going to waive the waiting period for this guy. He's that good. He had a golden ticket ripped before he finished second the next year. What I'm saying is there are enormous redemption stories in the jungle. Keep in mind, the BIC is the best to ever do it. Rick is a future Hall of Famer. It's happened to them. Now, I'm not going to say you've got their kind of game, Gav, because you don't. I'm not comparing you to them, Gav, because I can't. What I am saying is even they got punched in the face. Even they got their asses kicked, and they came back. You'll never know unless you try. But this much I do know. Some of the biggest setbacks in the history of the show, in the history of sports, in the history of the world, have set up for even bigger comebacks. My advice to you, Gavin, don't stay in your cave.
I advise staying in your cave on. Sorry, Rome.
Learn from it. Battle back. Bounce back. Because while everybody likes a flameout, everybody loves a comeback. Stay in there, kid. Stay in there, kid. I got to get out, boy. What are your thoughts? What should the kid do? What do you make of it? You're in the jungle. I am Jim. Maddie is in. So I actually solicited your response. I gave you my take about Gavin and said, you know, it's a setback. We've all had them. But if you've got any grit and you've got any heart at all, and you've got any balls at all, a setback can often set up for a bigger comeback. Matt in Vancouver says, quote, no way Gavin comes back from that. Thanks. Getting your immaculate face put on the BIC's banana hammock during a smack-off. Well done, Matty. Dear Gavin, don't be like Ray Ray. Regards, Ray Ray.
Congratulations, Brad. That's another trophy you can put on your whatever, on your mama's whatever it is.
No. Ashley in Nebraska, man, she's the best. Dear Gavin, don't be like Ray Ray. Regards, Ray Ray. Ashley in Nebraska. Yeah, Yellow Robot tweets, Drew the Jumpman Gillett was, is, and will be the best gloss ever.
Kyle, good to have you on. How are you?
Hey, I'm great. Drew, Jumpman Gillett. Oh, man, I'm nervous. How's it going?
It might be. Tan Smack. In regards to Gavin, I haven't seen anybody go down that hard since 94. Regards, Tanya Harding. Alan in Oregon. All right, so Johnny in Texas. Johnny, you made it. What's up, Johnny?
Hey, Jim, I love that two teachers are MIA from school giving advice to little G, who's MIA from school. The epitome of what's wrong with our educational system. Hey, Gavin, some advice for you from a guy who's been run more times than he can count, and that's a lot. I've earned the gloss from Jim, the new Josh in Detroit, and I wear it like a badge of honor. Hey, up in here in this jungle, nobody is unscathed, Gavin. Stay down for a little bit, dust yourself off, quit reading, come back. We need young blood in the jungle because we're dying off and you're not. Have a good weekend, Jim.
See, look at that guy. Like, he made it. He made it to the end of the call. That's a guy who has been run over and over and over and over again. We're dying off, and we need some young blood. Well done. Johnny in Texas. The new Josh in Detroit. The ones who get it done, Granger.